Hello, Cinema Makeup School students, friends, and family. Mary Lou here with another industry interview. So we've talked to a lot of folks that do TV and film, but I'm excited to bring to you someone who is professionally working in the music industry. He is a celebrity makeup artist. He's also a beauty expert, and he's going to share his tips and tricks on being a celebrity makeup artist on tour. Thank you for joining me today, Daniel Chinchilla.
Hi guys, how are you?
I'm so glad that you joined me. And just in case anybody needed to know this, Daniel and I have been friends for a long time. And something that I like to always tease him about is that we worked at the mall near each other.
Oh my God, stop.
We've come so far.
Those are the easier times in life, but
It really
we just had
was.
like no worries, you know?
It's just like, oh, okay, let's go do a shift at the mall.
Yeah,
But we all start somewhere. The reason I share that is so, students, those of you that are beginning, you all start somewhere. You got to take the job to take a job to pay your bills and pay for classes, pay for supplies. Like, do it. There's no shame in that game because you can build up from there. So Daniel, tell me first, as I start with everyone else, how did you get into makeup?
So I got into makeup actually through retail. I know that people a lot of times feel like you just kind of like get lucky and it just happens overnight. And for some people that might happen because of social media. But for me, 20 years ago, or like 18, 19 years ago, there was really no social media. So there was barely any internet. Oh my God, I feel so old. But anyways, so, it was all like word of mouth. It was like portfolios. This was when we actually physically had a portfolio. Now it's mainly just like online or Instagram or however it's done. But so I started at the mall working retail, and I worked at Clinique, and I had no clue what makeup was. I just knew that it looked fun, and that's all I knew about makeup. I was like, that looks like a fun job, and that's it. I didn't know what eyeliner was or like mascara. And, obviously it was like, I jumped in and literally like the first day of work, I had to do makeup. So you could imagine how like crazy bad that was. It was like, oh, here's a client, like sell her makeup and do makeup on her. And it's like, I don't even know what makeup is. So, fake it till you make it. And that's basically how I started. I started in retail, and then I moved to LA like 2-3 years later because I was like, I want to take this seriously. And I fell in love with the art and like making people feel really good. And so I moved to LA. I went to school, makeup school. And from there, again, I went to retail. Well, I was working retail through school. So I stayed in retail for a couple of years as I kind of like networked and built up my portfolio. And then I was finally able to quit a couple of years later. So yes, long story.
It's a good story. And I think definitely encouraging because people who are going to school, like there's so much out there on the Instagram and in our face that says you should already have made it. But that's not the case. You got to work from the bottom up.
Right. Yeah. I mean, on Instagram, for example, we only see like final results, so you see like, wow, this person is working with this person, and that's all you see. So you don't see like their road to get there. You don't see all the hard work or all the free jobs they had to do to get to where they are.
That is the truth. There's so much more to everyone's story. Was there any job that you had while you were on your way up in your career that really meant a lot to you, that like changed the game for you?
It's funny because there is actually one job that really like for me was like my big job, and it was a hair campaign actually. And it was actually through social media. It was Facebook. Because Facebook was kind of like all we had back then. We had Facebook and what else? I think MySpace. So this was on Facebook, and I was friends with the president of a hair company, and he hired me to do the campaign, so the makeup for the hair campaign. And so for me, that was like my first big like paycheck, and it was my first big job because it was a campaign. And so it was like such a cool moment for me because even though now that I look back, obviously it wasn't a lot of money, but at the time it was more than I was making, excuse me. And so it was a big deal for me. And most importantly, I think it was like a confidence boost for me. So it was like the moment where I was like, oh wow, like people really think I'm good and people will really like pay me good money to do makeup. And so, it really helped me like kind of excel into other things.
It's always that first job. Like I definitely have those early on where you're like, oh my gosh, you're gonna pay me that much to do my thing. You see me and validate me, and then you go on and you realize you are worth more. That rate is actually kind of a low rate, but that's okay because at the time it
It was a
was
lot.
great. Yes.
Yeah, it was like a stepping stone, and it was like oh wow, like I can actually make good money doing what I love doing. Like I don't have to like struggle. You know, of course, there's ups and downs in freelance, but it just gives you that confidence to like, oh, I can keep going, and eventually someone's going to pay me more and more and more.
Yeah, it gives you a little window into what is possible, which is
Yes,
very encouraging. So
big
now
time.
you are a celebrity makeup artist. Was there who started this trail for you of going into celebrity makeup?
So for me, I feel like my first like celebrity that I did was probably like Tia Mowry, and it was just for a couple like little red carpet things that she was doing, and then it went to like Betty White, which is huge. Like those were the first two like celebrities that kind of like made me a celebrity makeup artist.
How do you get jobs like that? Is it word of mouth? Like I don't imagine you're sending in a resume.
Those jobs that I got, like for example Tia, actually, I believe, actually, now that I think about it, I was friends on Facebook with her PR manager. So, or her PR company. So they actually called me and hired me to do her makeup. So again, it was social media. So even though social media wasn't big back then, or it was just starting to get big, I guess I did a lot of, or most, or all of my kind of networking through social media, which is cool. I actually just realized that right now.
That is good to know because that's something that I'm always really passionate about is that your connections on social media, putting yourself out on social media can really be integral in building your career, which we'll definitely talk to Daniel about. But before we move away from this topic, you are a personal makeup artist for Ariana Grande. You've been on tour with
Mhm.
her around the world. How do you create a look for tour?
Tour is obviously like different than regular makeup because it is stage makeup. And so, it has to look good on the big screens. It has to look good from, pretty far away. So, stage makeup is basically beauty makeup, but really heavy. So, whatever you are doing, like the contour, the highlighting, the eyeshadow, it's just times 10. So everything is exaggerated basically. It's kind of weird, or not weird, but it's kind of funny to say, but it's kind of like drag makeup in a sense because it has those same principles of like contour, highlight, blending, but still keep it kind of extreme. Like you're almost like transforming and painting a face for stage.
Yeah, that's really wonderful comparison that you make. So I remember when I was in college, I took like a theater makeup class and we were just doing the stuff for stage. And I was like, this just feels like it's drag and
Yeah,
drag is stage and it's
yeah,
all amazing.
yeah. It's now that I think about it, it's pretty much kind of the same thing. Maybe not as extreme as drag, but still those same concepts of like, extreme, like very defined contour and like go heavier with the eyeshadows. The lashes are a little bigger and everything is just like bigger and more.
And then how do you logistically deal with that throughout tour? Like, is there lots of crates and crates of makeup or is it designed for the tour and you just have this kit and every night is the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on the artist. Me, for example, we kind of like had our looks set, so I already kind of knew what I needed. And there was always like makeup stores, in the area or down the street or an Uber right away. So it wasn't. I didn't feel like I had to have everything because there was always like, let's say one day I was like, oh, I want to try this type of eyeshadow. I could always get it that day or the next day. So. But for the most part, the looks were pretty much set, and I had that makeup in my kit.
Do you collaborate a lot with costume and lighting? Because so you might be designing a look before it's been on stage. Now, once you see it on stage, you make adjustments. Where do you come in on the process?
Stage and like what am I wardrobe and things like that. That's kind of handled. That's like super important. Obviously, makeup is too, but That makeup you can change easily, but wardrobe and things like that, those things have to be like really set. So that gets handled first, and then we work like makeup around everything else.
Yeah, that makes sense. You guys are, your team, your part is a complement to all the other pre-production things that have already been built.
Exactly. So you have to be able to, as an artist, you have to be able to be flexible and kind of be able to change and never feel like you are the boss, and that you, just because I want to do purple eyeshadow one day doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen. So I feel like that's, as an artist, we have to understand that it's not about us. And it's not, we might want to do the coolest eye one day, but that might not be in the book. So you have to be super flexible and just kind of go with the flow.
That's great advice. Do you have any other advice for working with celebrities or working with talent in this way?
The main thing is just professionalism, like being professional, being clean, um, being able to read your client and being able to suggest things, but also, again, you're not the boss. So if your client wants a green eye but you don't love it necessarily, you might have to figure out how to love that green eye. You might have to kind of tweak it and obviously give your expertise, because that's what they want. But you have to give people what they want, and that's not only with celebrities, that's with any client. Like they're hiring you to give them a look that they want. So stay flexible.
Yeah, that's something that I've picked up from all of these industry interviews that I've done, from everyone from makeup department heads to personal makeup artists to people who are just starting, is that you are there to serve. Makeup is a service position. It is an
Yes.
artist position, but you are there to serve the client or the director or the talent.
Yes, definitely. It's like if you go to a restaurant, like you're there because you want good service, you want what you want. It's not like the waitress or waiter is gonna say, I know that you want eggs, but I'm gonna bring you steak instead. It's like you give people what they want because that's why you're there.
Great advice. Now, on that note, on your social media, you can do your own looks. That's where you can get creative and you can express yourself and see your
Right.
style personally and do the things that you want to do. Tell me more, because you've already told us a little bit about how important social media has been in your career. What kind of
Mhm.
part does it play now?
Even though I'm in a place where, like, okay, I'm doing what I love, I'm getting paid for what I love, and I'm working with like great clients and doing really good jobs, it's not like you can give up and just be like, okay, now I'm just going to sit at home and just, be fine, because I feel like social media is such an important tool. And it's something that, in my opinion, is it's not a choice. It's not like, oh, well, I don't really want to do social media, so I'm not. It's almost like a must. Like even when you sign with agencies or managers, they want to see your social media because they want to see that you have a presence. They want to see that you're easy to sell to clients. It's not a if you want to, it's a must for sure. I feel like at first it might have been like, oh, people just kind of played with the idea. Some people did and some people didn't. But now it's like, you have to do it. And it's so important because through social media, you can get clients. It's just basically, it's free exposure. And why not do it? Like you have the power to make like millions or thousands or hundreds of people see your work. So why wouldn't you take that opportunity to get some free advertising? And also, when you are looking for an agent, they want to see your Instagram. And when they're pitching you to clients, the clients want to see your Instagram. Unfortunately, they want to see how many followers you have usually, and they want to see your work. They want to see your professionalism. It's important for a client to look at your Instagram and say, oh, wow, he's great or she's great, but they're also professional and there's nothing crazy on their Instagram. They're not like drunk in every other photo. So it's just look at it as a business tool and not as a personal thing. So even though I'm on Instagram, it's never like, oh, let me post like, me at the party. It's more of just like makeup. Everything is makeup and beauty related with some funny memes because that's so important.
Yeah, that's something that I noticed about yours. Like Daniel's Instagram is very curated, but he manages to fold in personality. So you see his work,
Yes.
you see his skill set, but you also see the type of person that you're going to be hiring if you bring Daniel on.
Right, and that's so important because people want to they want to put a face to the work. So also remember that it's like it's not just about your work. You have to throw in pictures and videos of yourself because people want to see who they're hiring. They want to make sure that you're likable and that you're fun and that you're, you know, whatever they want to see. For example, I actually got a big job and they found me on YouTube, and I don't even do YouTube anymore really because I just don't have the time for it and it's a lot of work. But I do need to get back into it. That's just a side note. So they were like, you know, we saw you on YouTube, and I was cringing because I was like, it must be an old, gross video of myself. But they were like, we love your personality. You're so fun, and you know how to talk well on camera. And for them, that was what they were looking for. You have to show pieces of yourself on social media. It's not just about posting your work. You could be the best makeup artist in the world, but if you are not likable, people don't want to work with you. And you could be a decent makeup artist, but you could have the best personality and you will get a billion jobs. So always remember that. So show personality.
I think that's important to know for any industry like that. You could be the best at it, but if you are a jerk, people don't want to work with you. But
They
you could
don't.
be okay at what you're doing, but people will work with you because you're amazing to be around. So be amazing to
Yes.
be around and still strive to be the best that you can. That is all really great advice for social media. Let's talk a little bit about diversification. You have a brow studio as well as your makeup career. What got you to do that?
So as far as brows go in my brow studio, I'm an artist and I'm a very creative person. So I always want to learn new things. My therapist tells me that I am never going to be satisfied with anything because I'm an artist and I'm a creative person. And that's our curse. We are blessed in so many other ways, but our curse as artists is that nothing will ever be good enough because we'll always nitpick and be like, oh, you know, I love that eyeshadow, but I should have done this. You know, it'll always be that. So my point is, I've been doing makeup for 19 years. Actually, yeah, 19 years. And I just wanted something new. And I saw microblading and ombre brows all over the internet. And I was like, I want to learn that. Like, that looks so fun. And I've always wanted to have like a studio of my own. So it just kind of all like, it was perfect timing. And I was coming off tour and I was like, you know, once tour is done, I'm going to have a lot more free time. So I started the whole thing. I went to trainings, classes, all that stuff. And yeah, I just wanted something new and I wanted something fresh and exciting and just something to like kind of mix things up because obviously like I could do makeup all day long and I love it. But it's fun to kind of like do brows in the morning and then do makeup in the afternoon. It's just like a fun way to like mix things up and also like be creative.
And that's great. And that's something that a lot of my guests have talked about is to always be learning and always be trying something new. Just because you've decided to do makeup doesn't mean it's only makeup. Brows
Hmm.
are definitely complementary to makeup. But if you wanted to learn painting or sculpting, also, you know, you could do all sorts of artistic things. It's just good for the mind to be able to
It's
do
good
that.
for the mind and it's good for the wallet.
Yes.
Because in my opinion, like we're freelance artists, you know, it's like you can be replaced, you can have a slow month. And the more things you do and the more things you offer, the more money you have and the more freedom you have to do things that you want to do, like go on vacation or whatever you want to do. It's a good way to not be a struggling artist, you know, and that's to me that's always been important is like how do I make sure that I'm not worried about money or the next paycheck.
That's awesome. And I think that's something that definitely all of our students should keep in mind as they continue through their career. Is there any other advice you have for the
Yes.
students?
I mean, I just think like work really hard. Like I come from the time where I did free jobs every day, every other day. I was doing like test shoots and free jobs and this person wanted makeup, so I would do their makeup for like free or nothing or like barely anything. So it's all practice. So look at it as like practice. Like the more you do, the more you learn and the better you will get quicker. So don't look at things as like, oh, it's free, or oh, but they need to pay me, because that's not always the case, and that's not the way it used to be. I feel like that is a new thing, but just look at it as practice, and one day you will get paid, and one day you will be able to demand your rate. That's all.
Great advice. Thank you so much, Daniel, for joining me today. I really appreciate it. If you guys want to follow him on social media, you can find him at Instagram at Chinchilla. So make sure you give him a follow, give him some likes,
Yes.
tell him you saw him here on this interview with Cinema Makeup School. So if you guys are enjoying these, please let me know. If there's a makeup artist out there that you would like me to try to get as a guest, please let me know, and I will try to get them on the show. And I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.